Welcome to Sports Beat KC, the Kansas City Star Sports Podcast. I'm Blair Kirchhoff. Our Chiefs discussion today involves a familiar topic, the wide receivers. We spend plenty of time talking about the position group because, well, they stay in the news. So today you'll hear beat writer Jesse Newell and columnists Sam McDowell and Vahe Gregorian discussing how Kadarius Toney, Rashee Rice, Richie James, and others may be used over the final three games and what will be expected of them as the Chiefs conclude the regular season. And can Justin Ross make an impact now that he's back on the roster? Okay, let's get started talking Chiefs, and mostly wide receivers. As we often do, we write a story or stories about the year in review, right? 2023 year in review. And that's what I was thinking about what the top Chiefs topics for the year would be. And listen, it starts, with the calendar year, January 1st. So the Super Bowl obviously falls into this list of stories. But I also thought, aside from the Super Bowl victory, some of the
Taylor Swift?
Well, yes, that one's going to be on there. How can you ignore that? And I thought
Sam knows how to.
Yes. The Chris Jones holdout took a lot of
absolutely
a lot of ink and pixels and everything else, but we have probably spent more time talking about the Chiefs wide receivers than any position group, and so I thought we would start today with that topic because even with the 27-17 victory over New England in Foxborough, how are you?
By the way, a little background on that. It does tend to sound like that in New England. How are you? And I passed somebody when I was walking with Blair, and I kind of said it like that. I didn't really mean to. I just go, how are you? Except I wasn't joking around. And Blair's like, I don't remember how you caught me on it, or how you.
I just put a smile on my face because at Gillette Stadium, every staircase or entrance has a security guard, yeah. And you were greeted each time. How are you? It reminded me of the way my parents used to greet. How are you? But anyway, I digress.
I digressed you. Sorry.
So the receivers were part of the story on Sunday as well. The Chiefs got the victory, as we said, but is it never not going to be the story? Mistakes by Chiefs wide receivers and solutions for the play of the position group. What are the solutions for the Chiefs heading into the final 3 weeks of the regular season with playoffs clearly on the other side of that for them? Is this a position group that's going to hold them back? Can they mold it to into a shape where it won't hurt them? Is that the best you could hope for the Chiefs? That was about 8 questions, so each take 2 or 3 to respond to.
One thing I'd just say real quick, I was crunching some of the numbers, just looking at the numbers, the receiver numbers from last season to this season. And we've all done this in some form or another, but I find it interesting that Rashee Rice he'll eclipse Juju Smith-Schuster's numbers from last year. Right now he's at 68 catches for 11.1 yard average. Juju Smith-Schuster had 78 for 12-yard average, 3 touchdowns. Same amount of games, 14 games. Juju missed a couple. So those numbers are going to be better for the second leading receiver than they were a year ago.
Travis Kelce being the leading.
Travis Kelce will continue to lead. He's not going to have the whopping numbers he had last year, but where it obviously stands out is MVS's numbers are half of what they were, and they're just not getting the next complementary guy involved. We don't know who is that person going to be. Is it more Noah Gray? Is it they got to just start throwing to McKinnon and CEH more? Anyway, that's just my intro point that Jesse and Sam will far eclipse on their own observations.
I mean, this receiver group's who they have. So, yes, it's going to be a story for the rest of the season because at this point, if they perform really well, that'll be the story. they got through with a very similar group last year, as Vahe just mentioned. I think this group is more talented. But if I am saying that it's time to remove Kadarius Toney from the equation, it really is, because I was the last to hold on with Kadarius Toney. I just look at him as one of the most talented guys in the room that doesn't have like really premier talent relative to the other 31 teams in the league, and thought he clearly offers something different. But the mistakes are too frequent, and they are the most notable plays of most games. You could really, really argue that Kadarius single-handedly cost them the Lions game with the pick six drop, but also the drops on the potential comeback drive. Potentially could have gotten the Patriots back in this game. His offside penalty potentially could have swung a game in Buffalo. It's really hard for a wide receiver to have that significant of a negative influence. So that leads you to where do you go? And I think that's always been the Chiefs' question for why Kadarius Toney is still such a major part of the offense is, well, where do we go without Kadarius Toney? And, Richie James I think is going to be an option, particularly with Sky Moore out. I do think we're going to see more of Richie James this week. But to me, that means what do you do with Rashee Rice? Because the people that are just plugging Richie James in the lineup are forgetting that Rashee Rice's best production has come in the slot. And Richie James is a slot wide receiver. That's why they got him from the Giants. He played 85% of his snaps in the slot last year. This year he's about 50-50, but he's only played 40-some snaps with the Chiefs this year. And so if you want to put him where you utilize his strength, because he got significantly better last year when the Giants did move him to the slot, well, that's, it's a Mike Kafka offense, comes from Kansas City. Like, that's going to be in the slot. Rashee Rice plays a little bit over half of his snaps in the slot, and he's been better. And so has Rashee Rice grown enough over the past 4 months, because we've certainly seen the numbers grow, that you feel comfortable playing him more in the Juju role last year? Because if the fatal flaw, I think, for why we're talking so much about the Chiefs wide receivers is not as much Kadarius Toney. It's that they tried to put Sky Moore in the Juju Smith-Schuster X role, and it just didn't work out.
We know the ceiling. The ceiling is they can win the Super Bowl, because you just said it. I mean, they had the same receivers last year. And we've mentioned this on previous podcasts. Maybe it's just like a fan enjoyment thing, but the Chiefs are winning different this year. Like, we're not giving the defense enough credit for what they did against the Patriots. I know the Patriots' offense stinks, but, I mean, the Chiefs' offense handed them 7 points, the Patriots, and the Chiefs early on, from the beginning of the game, I mean, the Patriots got one drive, basically, the whole game, and the rest of the time got shut down because, as we talked about, the Chiefs used the Tyreek Hill resources to go build up their defense, and they hit on their draft picks, and they developed them. And
those are going to be what the next 3 weeks look like, too. That's Blair. I mean, that's who they're playing.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's like the Chiefs are not as good as they were last year. But I don't think they're as far off as a lot of people think, because all of a sudden you can have a playoff game where your defense wins you the game. And that was never the expectation for the Chiefs defense at any point last year, at any point the year before. They could win them 2 games. And so, I don't know. I just think it's sort of, fans have become accustomed, I think, to seeing an offense look a certain way with Mahomes, which has been amazing. But it's like the Chiefs are being pretty close to as successful doing it a different way, and doing it with some defensive players that they got because they traded away Tyreek Hill. So, I mean, that's a long-winded answer. But, yeah, the receiver's going to continue to be a story. I don't think we talk enough about the tackle position, guys. That's been a major issue for them recently, too. It just has. And I think probably the receivers is what's been trumping it. It's more obvious when a guy runs a route differently than it is when Mahomes is dancing around pressure, which he does better than any quarterback in the NFL, by the way. It's avoiding sacks and somehow making plays. But I don't think they trust their tackles. I don't think Mahomes trusts his tackles. I think it causes them to chip sometimes, which eats into Travis Kelce's routes he can run. And that's been one of the major issues, especially with the amount of money they spent on one of those sides. Maybe something we're not talking about, but you're right. I mean, every national show I look at now, it's why is Kadarius Toney playing? And so that's going to continue to be a story throughout the rest of the season, especially as long as he's on the field.
We've all grown, or, we covered Andy Reid Vahe, you longer than anybody, than Blair and me and Jesse, but there's a lot of years here of Andy Reid press conferences. I certainly came away with the impression on when Adam Teicher asked Andy Reid about Kadarius Toney Sunday, and then Pete Sweeney asked him yesterday, I think Kadarius Toney's role is going to be changing moving forward. Now, We don't know how much Andy Reid knew about the severity of Sky Moore's injury when he provided both of the answers on Kadarius Toney. But interested what you guys think. But I left with the impression that Kadarius Toney seeing 45% of the snaps is not going to be a thing for the next couple of weeks at least.
It's a reflection to me of the Chiefs' offense where it's hard. Like, what is the rhyme or reason for, like, what does Toney do poorly? You know what I mean? Like I can't explain it. You know what I mean? Like, he makes blunders, but like it's not a.
It's got to be a concentration thing, doesn't it?
You know,
lack of discipline.
Because it's not the same blunder, right?
But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's so weird, and that feels like their offense sometimes too, where it's like you don't know how they're going to mess it up, but they're going to, and that's sort of the feeling they got, especially when they lost 4-6. And I know we use the word fixable so much, but it did feel like they're going to come out of this eventually. Like, you're going to stop having two plays that are worth negative 12 points to you in a game, and that's what happened against the Patriots. The Patriots finally gave them one back. Right. I mean, that interception finally, the Chiefs got to a place defensively where they took one back against the other team when the other team handed them 6 points. But it is a weird thing to me because if you ask me, like, what is Kadarius Toney doing wrong? I guess concentration is the answer. But it's like
details, yeah. And I think that's why Patrick Mahomes was so upset, right?
Yeah.
Because he's an attention to detail person.
That's the trump card. We saw Mahomes on the sideline. You can't continue to wheel Toney out there. Mahomes is done with him. I mean, that's it. Like, that's the answer. So Andy Reid can say what he wants to and say what he wants in the media. And again, to us, he has to say certain things to keep his players. I don't think they're going to cut Kadarius Toney, so doesn't really do much good to rip him. And Andy Reid knows that better than anybody else. But when you see Mahomes' reaction to that, that's it. You can't play that guy, continue to play him because of the mistakes he's made. It just still is a little bit weird. Like, I can't – it's hard to put your finger on what he's doing wrong other than potentially just not focusing in enough on what details need to be done.
You're making me think of this. It's an imperfect parallel, but and we don't know how this ends, but remember how last year it got to a point with Sky Moore, largely because of the punt returns, where you just felt like he can't be played.
Yeah,
he can't help this team.
Couldn't be trusted.
And then they ultimately sort of cobbled together something, and part of it was out of necessity in the AFC Championship.
Yes.
Was it? But that's what it kind of reminds me of at its best, though, I would say, for Toney, right? I mean, it remains to be seen if they think, okay, we can find some kind of more, less harmful set of opportunities for him. But I don't know what that is. I mean,
hand off. That might be.
That's,
can you hand it off to him 3 times? Like, does that take some of it?
He lined up twice at running back.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Like, is the catching the problem? If it's attention to detail, do you have the same problems at running back? I don't know. It's a complicated thing. But again, the main thing to look at is just Mahomes' reaction to say, I basically, what we were trying to read is like, I knew this was going to happen. I called this. I knew. And once you get to that sort of public setting, it's sort of hard to recover from. And that one clip is just a perfect encapsulation because it's what Sam talked about earlier. Like, his route is amazing. Like, his body moves in different ways. He's wide open. It just, he can't complete it. It reminds me, I'm going to bring up the reference here. I was thinking about this, Sam. In Mighty Ducks 2, the Mighty Ducks are back. There's a hockey player called Mendoza, and he is the fastest guy on the rink. Just keeps, and he can't stop. You know what I mean? It's just like this guy can do nothing else, do something that nobody else can do, but then it's like you can't utilize him because the guy can't stop in front of the goal and shoot the buck in the net. The one day he does, though, he stops right in front of the goal, puts the goal in because he beats everybody down the rink. So maybe Kadarius Toney can find his breaks here at some point, but as of right now, he's sort of like the fastest guy on the rink who just has no idea how to stop and harness the skills that he has.
It's really a shame, too, though, right? Because he moves in ways you seldom see people move. He obviously has just really exhilarating talent. And then the fatal flaw, and what do you want to call it? Attention to detail, concentration.
And that's why I have trouble on what the fatal flaw is, because like he makes mistakes. He makes mistakes, and it's weird. It's a weird thing.
Just to gauge your thoughts on this. So if we don't have the Kadarius Toney play in that game, it's probably 27-10 or whatever it might be. But it's also not the only thing people are talking about. And I actually think that it's such a sort of neon crazy play and the cumulative effect of him that so much attention's been focused on the one play of the one guy that I do think it's distracted from actually what was an important workmanlike victory for the Chiefs that I do think is a step forward. If they take 2 back with a loss to the Raiders, that's something else. But I just think I like how they cleaned themselves up for the most part in that game. And
Well, I didn't like Rashee Rice fumbling.
Yeah, 2 fumbles on
Yeah.
that game.
and Sky Moore, fumbling. So neither one ended up costing the Chiefs. And then Travis Kelce dropping,
Touchdown,
the
yeah.
alligator arm touchdown.
4 wide receivers. Those are 4 different players.
Yeah,
yeah,
making
it's true.
a mistake. The Kadarius was the final one and the most costly.
Yeah.
And it adds, you add to the list of mistakes that he's made. So he's bearing the brunt of this. Vi, I wanted to ask you, as somebody who's covered the Chiefs longer than anybody, I don't remember Andy Reid being confronted with a situation quite like this, where it's so painfully obvious that some kind of change in playing stature has to be made with Kadarius Toney, and Andy's still defending Toney to some extent. I mean, he's parsing his words a little bit.
Yeah.
But
We went through the Dan Sorensen, but it's obviously not as much of
No, but I think that's
not as
close-
much.
one.
Not
I
as
think
much
that's a
of an
reasonable
Andy.
parallel.
Not as much. This is very much an Andy decision, right? It's an offensive decision,
yeah.
and he does empower Steve Spagnuolo to play a lot of the guys he wants to play.
Well, look, I mean, we know this about how Andy's wired, right? I mean, it would be a form of torture to him to say something publicly, putting somebody, for lack of a better term, under the bus. He's just not going to do it. So I like your point about parsing his words, and I think it's so evident he's parsing his words that we can read beyond them, that we can expect that it's going to be greatly reduced. Again, ways that are less volatile in the scheme of things, at least until he demonstrates in some gradual way that he can be, reset. Problem is, what's he gonna? He has a couple, a couple little swing passes or a couple nice runs. That I don't think we're at a point where you feel like he didn't fumble that, he lined up right. Let's see what he can do with a intermediate pass of some sort. I don't know what the path to feeling good about that is.
No, I mean, you go back to training camp, and that's where, I wrote about it, I think you might have as well, Vahe, that Patrick Mahomes was trying to set a tone for a team that was winning the Super Bowl, that the reason they'd won that Super Bowl is their attention to detail at training camp the previous year.
Yeah.
We're talking about a guy that did not take a snap in all of training camp.
Yep.
And I think you are seeing the effect of a guy, and I agree with Blair, it's a concentration / attention to detail issue. Like, that's the commonality in the variety of mistakes that he's made.
Yeah.
And for the Chiefs, I know a lot of people keep saying, why do you keep playing him? I talked to a scout for the Chiefs that had scouted Kadarius Toney in college, because they liked him in college. Said he was unlike any player they'd ever scouted in college, that his balance was so incredible that he would get hit. We see this. He breaks tackles at an unbelievable rate.
Runs through him.
Yeah.
Nobody can arm tackle the guy.
But
he's so strong for his size.
It's almost like, look, when Isaiah Pacheco moves a pile, I don't think you hold your breath. When Kadarius Toney is in traffic breaking a tackle, I think you hold your breath because you're waiting on a potential mistake to come. And that gets into what you mentioned earlier with Rashee Rice as well. And I do think, just to sum up, Blair, that what you said about, I think the attention to detail is the link that puts all these together.
The thing you made me think of, it's so true about Kadarius Toney, is he's one of those kinds of guys that makes you hold your breath for both reasons, right? Like, what's he going to do?
Yeah.
And you feel it on either end of the pendulum.
And put yourself in a coach's shoes in that situation.
Yeah.
He's the guy that can deliver that play for you.
Yeah.
I don't know that they have another guy that gets the 60-some yard punt return in the Super Bowl. They don't have another guy on their roster that can do that. And so, the play that you covered, Jesse, in the Super Bowl, like, they had a lot of guys that can run that route. There's not a lot of guys that can do the stuff that Kadarius does. And so you want to know why he's still playing, there's a reason for it.
Well, so much we talk about the receivers is they don't have much upside. I mean, that's the upside you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the ceiling. That's why Andy Reid, has given him the opportunities at this point, because at some point you'd like for your Jimmies and Joes just to go make a play and not have to scheme everything up all the time. And Kadarius has that sort of potential. And, it might be distracting. I think that's a good word by the Chiefs complete some downfield passes, Sam. Like, this hasn't happened all season. We want to talk about a positive from the Patriots game. Like, Mahomes chucked it down the field and got Justin Watson on a deep ball, and we've seen so many missed connections on those. Mahomes probably played his second-best game of the year, pretty close to his best, probably after the Chargers game. We haven't seen that type of Mahomes in a long time, and it just sort of brings me back to the original point, which is like the NFL is so much about pass offense and pass defense. And, like, right now, the Chiefs have the potential on offense to be that, and they are doing it on defense. And going to the playoffs, again, you can look around the league. Some teams have that. Not many teams do. And so it's one reason to at least to like the Chiefs' chances of potentially getting things together and making a run is that those two vital parts of the game, one of them is we've seen in the past can happen, is close to happening. And the other one right now, led by L'Jarius Sneed, Trent McDuffie, and then, I mean, all three levels really helped out in this particular game. They've got the potential to shut that down too.
Well, one thing they don't do or haven't done with Tony, and I suspect we will not see it, is they don't go over the top with him. When he has a long play, the punt return, but when he has a long offensive play, it's a catch and run. He's not an over the top guy, and you're right, Jesse. They did go over the top a couple times to Watson, to Noah Gray on the first series, but we certainly haven't seen much of that at all. In fact, we were all kind of scrambling when that was happening Sunday, looking at previous Chiefs games. They hadn't had three plays, including the screen to Clyde Edwards-Helaire that went for 48. They haven't had a game where they had as many as three plays that long.
They missed it all year. I mean,
which is what used to be routine.
Sam,
for the
you've written
Chiefs.
about it multiple times this year. I mean, it's the missing piece of what they've done.
They had, I think, by game's end, I had misread a row of something, but I think they had, maybe it was the Chargers, they had 4 plays of 30 plus. In this game, they had 3 plays of 30 plus, but this was the only game to match. I think we still use 20 yards as the explosive play measure. Only the second time all season they had 6 explosive plays, and that was also that. And look, that part of that was the 48-yard screen to Clyde and things like that. But generating explosive plays is still
Sam might be looking this up
barometer.
too. I know the one he's talked about so much as air yards.
Yeah, so Kadarius Toney is last in the NFL, and his average depth of yards is 2.9 yards. Second,
How did I know he was looking this up? Mind
second-
meld. But this is like Mahomes and Kelsey right here, okay?
Second fewest is 4.4, and third fewest is Rashee Rice at 4.8. I mean, they have. But part of that is, Andy Reid talks a lot of times. You figure out what a guy's good at, and you play to his strengths. We did see Kadarius Toney run a couple of vertical routes last year after the trade, so I'm surprised they haven't used him more in that role. The Rashee Rice numbers don't surprise me at all. It's, I think it was a couple games ago that there were complaints that it was in Green Bay that Rashee Rice's average depth of target was like 2 yards, and it's like, well,
you
pray
more
for this guy to give him the ball more. Then they find a way to give him the ball more. Then you complain about how they're giving him the ball.
Yeah.
They're playing to Rashee Rice's strengths when they just get him the ball because he's so good after the catch. He's second in the NFL in yards after catch per reception. So Deebo Samuel's at 9.4. Rashee Rice is second at 7.8, and that is among the top 102 in terms of percentage of targets, the top 102 guys. So, they're playing at Rashee Rice's strengths. It just seems like they're still trying to figure out the best way to play to Kadarius Toney's strengths, but that's because he's so inconsistent.
But part of this equation, guys, what we're talking about is the offense. These mistakes are magnified because they only get so many possessions, and it feels like every drive has to be 12 plays, 75 yards, touchdown. You can't make a red zone mistake. You can't make a short yardage mistake. You can't have a fumble. Well, you have a cheat code if you can get a few 40-yarders. You know what I mean? If you can throw the ball down the field. It's why Mahomes has talked about it all year. It's like, got to complete a deep ball. And I mean, to their credit, other than this last game against the Patriots, they've been running the ball pretty well. So, which, again, will only bring more defenders closer to the line of scrimmage. They're not getting defended the same way they were in years past, and yet they're not taking advantage of it. So I think that has to be one of the major positive signs here is, however it happened, it was not Justin Watson running the wrong way and Mahomes throwing it a different way. They completed the ball down the field. Same thing to Noah Gray. If that happens twice a game, all of a sudden this offense looks a whole lot more like it did in years past.
Yeah.
And they're getting Isaiah Pacheco back for the next game, the Raiders game on Christmas Day. So running game should continue to be more of a weapon than we've seen it for previous Chiefs teams. How popular is Justin Ross right now? Seems to be a pretty popular guy. He's the, he backup quarterback popular. He's going to come in and save the day, right? No.
I think, look, Justin Ross has missed 7 weeks, and they opened the season by saying he was a package player, which implied that he was still learning the offense. I think it's an offense that you've got to be in it to help you learn it, and 7 weeks without being in it. If Sky Moore wasn't injured, I don't think we'd see Justin Ross added back to the 53-man. I think maybe that opens a spot for him, and he does play that X position that Sky Moore was playing, but it's hard for me to envision him being a big factor after missing so much time of a year that should have been a really educational year for him.
You want to talk about Andy Reid giving kind of a telling response? He was asked about those guys and basically said, hey, we'll see on Justin Ross,
Right.
and then went off and just said, I got to get Richie James more
than
playing
2
time.
plays.
I
Yeah,
got to get him
yeah.
more. So, again, if you're getting the truth serum on that answer, and it sure seemed like you were, they don't envision a big role for him. It's weird to say this, guys, and we've made this comparison before, but to me, Justin Ross was what they wanted their 4th tight end to be. You know what I mean? Once they lost Jody Fortson for the season. Their 3rd tight end this year, and again, that's the guy who sort of has gotten bailed out by all of this Kadarius Toney talk, which is Blake Bell had a ball taken out of his hands. And this has been, if you look at some of the grading out there, the PFF stuff, this has been by far Blake Bell's worst year as a Chief. So, ideally, if Justin Ross had a role, it'd be like that Jody Fortson 3rd tight end jump ball specialist, but the Chiefs don't usually throw jump balls, and he's not a tight end. So I don't know. I don't know what they do with him. It's kind of a fascinating time to get him back potentially. But yeah, to your point, Blair, it's the Chiefs sort of fed into this with a bunch of the hype videos and clips over the offseason. That's not going to be the player he is. He obviously has some skills on the outside, some jump ball ability. He's a big receiver, but some speed issues and some ability to move issues out there. And if he was producing, obviously this would be the team to take a chance on him and get him more snaps. But at this point in the season, it's sort of hard to envision what a big role for him would be, especially coming down the stretch.
You're just making me think of this. Should we be more intrigued by Richie James and isn't there bigger need steady and reliable more than
I don't know,
spectacular?
That's what we talked about with Kadarius, right? I don't know that answer. What do you think? Would you rather have more variability with that and potential for big plays, or would you rather have smooth and steady when you really haven't? 2 or 3 weeks ago we talked about the receivers couldn't create separation, and that was one of the big storylines.
Yeah.
Well, if you have a bunch of players who are where they're supposed to be, you're not going to probably have much separation, right? Tony was wide open on that play because he juked the dude out of his shorts.
He had time he had time to bobble it twice.
Yes. He was wide open because he can just move. You know what I mean?
We haven't really seen enough Richie. So 40 snaps we think Richie James has had?
He's had in the 40s. It's 45 or so.
So
yes.
do we have we seen enough to know whether he's a guy who can't create separation? I guess is
No, he created a lot of separation. Last year in New York, he was one of the top 10 in the NFL in terms of
right. But what
separation.
I'm saying is why do we assume that he can't?
That he can?
Cannot.
I don't assume he can't create separation. Again, last year in New York, he was one of the 10 best in the NFL at creating separation.
He's a return specialist too.
I just assume that he's playing. His best position is Rashee Rice's best position, and they want to feature Rashee Rice. So if they want to get Richie James more involved, it's going to have to mean that one of those guys is going to have to play a little bit out of their comfort zone.
The Eagles.
You assume he can't create separation.
No, I really don't. I'm in the devil's advocate seat here. I'd like to see more of him. And
I agree with that.
And I think you will see more of him.
Yeah.
I think so too. Yeah,
Yeah.
He's
3 snaps this week.
But look, I do think he's to me the most intriguing possibility to just give some stability.
And what does that say about where the Chiefs are right now? That it's going to be Week 16.
Yeah.
And all 4 of us have landed that we want to see them integrate a new guy just because we haven't seen enough of them, and we know what the rest of the
Sam,
full picture,
there were
the full
Twitter
picture brings.
There were Twitter rumors that they were trying to trade Richie James once he got back from IR.
Well,
Because
he wanted a different.
yeah, but still, I mean, on a team that was still at that point devoid of productive receivers. I mean, and now a few weeks later, oh man, I got to see this guy again. I'm not saying that's not to disparage Richie James. I'm just saying kind of what we're talking about the offense. That's sort of the point it's come to at this moment where.
And look, his injury threw a curveball into everything, right? But it does go back to something I know Sam was saying, and I believe you were saying too, or maybe you too, Blair.
Only if it's smart.
That early on, I think they treated this receivers numbers game as like, oh, we've got so many great options, we got to keep them all alive, instead of narrowing it down and saying this is the cast we've got to get it to, and that maybe something became diluted through that along the way.
They have changed. I agree with that. They have done that a little bit. I think more than the outside noise is giving them credit.
What did
for.
Rice have, like 93%
Yeah,
snaps
Rice
or
is
something?
playing more than he ever has. I think they realized that Marquez Valdez-Scantling just running down the field isn't doing as much value as maybe
He's
numbers-
lost
his
snaps
snaps
last
are
year.
really
lost
down,
snaps.
right? Yeah.
They were running the ball more between the tackles because that's where it's been more success. I do think that they've made more adjustments than people have given. I mean, look, their short yardage, I put it in my 5 things, but they were 15 out of 29 on 3rd and short, and then they converted 11 straight. That's adjustments because they started running between the behind
Right,
Creed Humphrey,
right.
a little bit to Trey Smith. I think there's been more adjustments than people have given credit for. It's just a little bit of where the wide receiver group is. It's who they are.
It's what we gave them credit for last year, and they won the Super Bowl last year. And your salary cap only goes so far, too. I mean, if you're going to give it one position, I'm sure they looked at this in the offseason and said, just like last year, you get enough bodies in here, you're going to figure out who's good, and you're going to make it work. And so, again, the proof's going to be in the pudding over the next month and a half. Can they continue to make it work? And the margin for error is greater because the defense is better. And potentially, again, in the playoffs, if the Chiefs make a run, I'm sure think that the defense is going to carry them at least one of those games. That's not something you would have expected in past years.
So James only had the one target on Sunday, but it looked good. 17-yard gain and a little catch and run down the sideline. He looked fast, and who knows where he would be in the offense now if he hadn't gotten hurt. He
Yeah.
missed 8
Yeah.
games.
Yeah, that's a good
8
point.
games.
Yeah.
So, all right, I was starting to say a little while ago, Eagles lost their 3rd straight game on Monday night to the Seahawks. What a great moment for Drew Lock, huh? Former Mizzou and Lee Summit kid. What a wonderful. Did you see his post-game interview?
We did. What was funny was, it was planes, trains, automobiles, funky travel day for everybody yesterday. But Sam and I, even though we came from different airports to begin with, ended up in Chicago together, flying together, and I had just called it up near the end of the game, and saw Drew's celebration after the touchdown, and then I turned to Sam and I said, this was as I can't remember my words. Sam always remembers the words. I think it was
He said it was a great
as good a
yeah.
post-game interview as you'll see. I mean,
Yeah.
and it was because it was so genuine. And look, we've all had a chance, Sam longer than anybody probably, but all of us had a chance to be around Drew Lock, and I think look upon him, somewhat fondly. And I've always seen him as a gracious and smart guy, and he's been through some ups and downs in the NFL. So to see him have that moment, but then also have that moment where he came off so well, that was really, it was moving.
Yeah,
That was cool.
if you haven't seen it, go to wherever your favorite social media outlet is and access it. And who knows? Maybe someday he'll be a backup quarterback. He'll be another Missouri backup quarterback for the Chiefs.
Yeah. At some point, they're going to have to get somebody who's doesn't have 10 years of experience, who might actually be kind of in their prime. That's one of. I told Vahe as soon as we watched that moment, I said I thought Drew Lock would have been a great fit here. That was an awesome moment. I mean, his career is sort of defined by the "yeah but" sentence. I mean, in high school, you had the Simone Award, and I voted for him to win. That was when I was covering high schools, and some people ripped me because Lee Summit had a losing record that year. I was like, yeah, but what about the record? And then at Missouri, he had great numbers, and it was, yeah, but what has he done against the top of the top teams? That's kind of been his career. So it was great to see him just
And then he
seize
fell out of the
moment.
first round of the
Yeah.
draft. We thought he was
Yeah.
going to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, still has his draft card in his bag.
Oh, yeah.
From that. So just I mean, as genuine as they came in high school, he was always a guy that, high school kids sometimes are nervous, and Drew always met the moment whenever you chatted with him, and he certainly did more than ever. I totally agree with you on Monday, Vi.
It's funny, you just made me think of this. The other thing is Drew's father, Andy, played for Andy Reid at Missouri. I don't know why Andy Reid's not giving him the extra look. All of a sudden, Drew's, what is this, like his sixth year? Seventh year?
Not 7.
It's definitely not 7. When we were in, what's ironic about the timing for us personally, just to make it about us, is when we were in New England was when he was starting his first game, the last trip to New England in 19.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So 19, 20,
It says
21,
4 years.
22, 20.
19
Yeah.
was his
first. Okay.
This is his 5th year then.
Yeah. So he needs about another 3 years before he's Chiefs material.
That's right. Following Chase
Get
Daniel
him
and
over
Blaine
30.
Gabbert
Yeah.
as Mizzou quarterbacks here in Kansas City. All right, guys. So the next time we'll be together is on Christmas Day. On Monday, we'll cover the Chiefs-Raiders game. Kicks off at noon. Looking forward to seeing everybody there. And thanks for the great conversation, as always. That will do it for today. Shout out to Randy Mason for producing the show, and to our SportsBeat KC production staff of Monty Davis, Jeff Rosen, and Scott Chasen. Tip of the cap to Vahe Gregorian, Sam McDowell, and Jesse Newell for providing their insights. My favorite digital sports page is the Morning Sports Edition, and I bet it'll be yours too if you gave it a shot. Go to liveedition.kansascity.com, see what I'm talking about. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back soon with another SportsBeat KC where we talk sports in and around Kansas City.